Okay. Okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 45 of Arknolia and the Doctor. Me, Arknolia Strokelbean. And YR and Keith will be later on this program. They're right now currently doing some stuff there right now, but they asked us to add them to the call when we're done with some of our lists here there. And I guess what they're discussing a couple of things here. And I don't know if you know Tony from Reverh. Have you met this man before, by the way?
Yeah, actually, I've heard of him. I don't know much about. Well, I
Uh,
really
he's
don't know much about
he's
anybody.
he's a keyboard player, and he did a couple of good keyboard licks on YR's program a couple times there. And we often kind of like somewhat traded some licks here and there, but on me on the guitar and him on the keyboard, he was for about a couple of seconds there. So figure we go to. Well, I figure you like the guy, and you could probably he could probably ask you, or you could ask him about his favorite stars of the '70s, '80s, and stuff like that. And see, get a good conversation going between you guys there.
Yeah, because most of the people know about the '60s are no longer with us.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I
Oh
was.
yeah, and happy birthday for yesterday.
Yes, thank you very much. As of yesterday, as I mentioned, I am 55 years old, and I'm getting out there in time. But the best, but the good thing about this is that people are saying I still look like I haven't aged.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, people are saying, yeah, it's like you still look good, you still look young. Well, this is what no smoking, no drugs, and very rarely any alcohol will help you with.
Yep.
Yeah, and as you know. All right, so, all right, shall we get ready there, dude?
Okay. Let's start with Supertramp.
Mm-hmm.
Or did we
Now,
already
are
do
they
that?
still together, by the way?
I don't know the question yet, but the answer to that. But I think the answer is no.
Oh wow! Because I remember after Roger Hutchinson left in about, I guess it was in the early '80s after one of their albums. Hutchinson decided to go solo for a while there. He later did rejoin a couple years later, and I guess Supertramp's career in the '80s kind of like fizzled out. The last thing,
Yeah.
the last album I really checked out anything from them was the title cut to "Brother Where You Bound," featuring Pink Floyd's David Gilmour on the guitar there.
Yeah, and I haven't even checked that one out.
Oh, that's pretty good. It was a pretty good piece there. I think it was a full length video. It takes up all of side two, and the song "Cannonball," which was the first single from that album, was pretty good as well, and interesting video to boot as well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, my first one is number 10 is Hole in Your Shell. Hide in Your Shell, excuse me.
Ah,
My number 9 is School. My number 8 is Give a Little Bit.
which I know if you heard the Goo Goo Dolls version of that track there, they came out in the early 2000s. Not too bad.
Yeah. Number 7 is Breakfast in America.
Yeah, title cut from that album is the same name. That's the one with the Logical song on there.
Yeah. Number 6 is It's Raining Again.
Yeah, from the album Famous Last Words, their last album with Hutchinson on that track there.
Yeah. My number 5 is Logical Song.
Oh yeah, it's kind of interesting because there was this techno DJ who kind of like, I forgot this person's name, but excuse me. But they did do a kind of like a techno version of that without the actual lyrics. But they did sample some of that. But it was the same. They kind of like mimicked the same chords, the same chorus chords there, and I guess it was kind of like a remake when you really think about it. I guess it counts as one.
Yeah, in
If
a
you really,
way.
yes. Because usually when these techno artists or dance artists out there, DJs, producers, they often try to make their own versions. Like there was a dance version of Alice Cooper's Poison I remember hearing, and I figured
Yeah.
the Coop must not been too happy about that. But then again, I think Sony owns the rights to that song because it was released during that time on that label around that. Well, before it became Sony, I should say, when it was still CBS.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And my number 4 is Goodbye Stranger.
yeah,
My number 3 is Take the Long Way Home.
yeah.
Number 2 is Dreamer.
Oh yeah, I remember the live version that came out in 1980. It was a live album
Oh
called
yeah, and
Paris.
actually that's my preference
Yeah,
is that version.
yeah, yeah. That was played on a lot on the radio there.
Yeah, and my number 1 is Bloody Well Right.
Oh well, I remember that one as well. The same version, this live version of that is pretty good. Kick It as well. Of course, the
Yep.
live album we're talking about is 1980's Paris, and that's where that concert was recorded at.
Yeah. Good album, by the way.
Yeah,
And a lot of the early Supertramp,
and
well,
so
up until Hodgson left,
yeah,
is pretty good listen all the way through.
yeah. And so far, I guess the last time we've heard of them was back in 1987. They ever put out an album called "Free as a Bird," and it went nowhere. And
Ah,
so I guess their career, Kaylee, basically just went afterwards. I guess that, although did mention that Hutchinson did return to the group a few years later, but I think at that time the flame had fizzled out. I guess.
probably so, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't really follow anything after that.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Which is a pity there.
Yeah, yeah. And my next band I got is Sweet.
Oh my goodness! I had the privilege of getting a. I had a copy of Desolation Boulevard autographed by two of the original members and their fill-in members
Wow.
back in 1990. It was a different frontman. It was also a different bass player, and I guess many of the members, the original Swede, had passed away, except for Andy Scott, the guitarist.
Yeah, and I think actually, is he the one that just passed away? One of them just passed away, but I don't know which
Yeah.
one.
I think it may have been Steve Priest because I heard that he died not too long ago.
Yeah, that's probably the one.
Yeah, I'm thinking as well. I know Brian Conley, their original frontman, he was, from what I understand, at the when they were doing that semi-reunion show at the Ritz in Roseville, and this back in 1990, he was in an Australian hospital for some sort of, I forgot what it was, and apparently would pass away a couple years later. It must have been that damn serious, I guess.
Yeah. My number 10 is a song called Sweet FA, which is
Oh
Penny
yeah.
Adams.
Yes, we know what it means there. We have my one of my buddies, Bennett in Roseville, he turned me on to that song there. In fact, he turned me on to that whole album.
Yeah. My number 9 is Little Willie, which is a very early song.
Yeah, I remember hearing that when I was in one of the, I guess it was prior to going to high school. I guess before a junior high, I guess you would say.
And actually, I think it's their first release.
Maybe, who knows? I know it's a good song there. That's true.
And my number 8 is Blockbuster at that same era.
Ah,
My number 7 is a song I'm guessing you probably haven't heard, but it's a pretty good one. It's called Air on a Tape Loop.
I see. Really
It's
nice.
on Level Headed,
One of their
I
other
think.
albums.
Yeah.
People when they talk about Desolation Boulevard, they usually a lot of times they should also give the other albums a listen, like the one you just mentioned, and this one that I remember being advertised on the radio called "A Cut Above the Rest,"
Yes.
and that came out in 1979 when I first started listening to rock and roll radio for the first time there.
My number 6 is Ballroom Blitz.
Oh, we know.
Everybody knows that song.
Oh, we know, like the song at the back of our hands there. In fact, you remember the band Crocus, a Swiss metal
Yeah.
band? I guess they put out an album called The Blitz in 1984, and they did their cover version of that song there,
Yep.
which
My
is
number 5.
which
Oh,
is
go
pretty
ahead.
damn good, I should say. I'd highly
Yeah.
recommend that as well.
My number 5 is off that same album, Fox on the Run.
Oh yeah, I was listening. They often play that song a lot of times on classic rock stations and on the loudspeakers at various supermarkets just as well. There, good song there. I think it's about the guy telling the girl or something like that, go hide yourself away because you're not all that.
Yeah. Good song, though.
It is absolutely most agreed.
And my number 4 is their slam on disco music. It's a song called Disco Phony.
Ah, I remember. I think. Let me guess. That's from 1979.
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah, because
And it's just, I remember the lyric about can't stand that disco
I
music,
remember hearing a
pain in
snippet of
my head.
that. I remember hearing, dude. I remember hearing the snippet of that when on the radio commercial advertised that album, "Cut Above the Rest," and I remember
Yeah,
that particular line, "Can't stand that disco music," and so
pain in
when
my
you,
head.
yep, it was when you mentioned that. That's the first thing came to my mind.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
But it's a definite slam on disco music.
Oh yeah. Hmm. So was Frank Zappa's "Dancing Fool," from what I understand.
Yeah, and there's another one during that same time. What the hell was it?
Hmm.
Frank Zappa.
Hmm. I think it was
Uh,
another one by Frank Zappa.
yeah, that was also a slam on disco.
Oh wow. No, I'm not too sure about that. I just
Can't
remember
remember the
Dancing
name
Fool.
of it off the top of my head, but
Yeah,
Dancing Fool definitely is one.
absolutely.
My number 3 is something called California Nights, which is actually a good song.
Ah.
My number 2 is, I guess, their biggest one,
Hmm.
Love is Like Oxygen.
Oh my goodness, I remember hearing that a few times just as well. Pretty good song there.
Oh,
We all
yeah.
need love to breathe on.
And my number 1 is a song off of an album called Give Us a Wink called Action.
Ah.
And that song moves.
Piece. Everybody wants a piece of the action.
Yep.
I remember because when they did that reunion show in, actually, or excuse me, relapse show because the two, the bass player and the original singer were not involved. It was kind of like that was the first song they did as their opening set there.
Yeah, and that song, like I said, it really, really moves. In fact, you've got an email where I sent you a link for that
All
song just
right,
in case
definitely.
you hadn't heard it.
I'll definitely listen in tonight. That's for shizzle. And it's right. Of course, as we know now, Andy Scott is the only original member. Leading Sweet on his own there, and which was not like everything else there with that in that form. It's kind of sad when you think about it. It's just all the original members are gone. Just one member left. He's carrying on the name. The same thing with Roger Earl, the drummer, carrying on with the Foghat name there.
Yeah,
And of course,
which generally you don't think the drummer's going to be the one, but sometimes you never know.
yeah, I mean, remember Bobby Blutzer did the same with the band Rat, with his version, right?
Yeah,
I should say that was up until Warren D. Martini, Juan Crucier, and Stephen Piercy got the name back.
yeah,
And it's kind of funny. It's like I remember seeing Sweet twice at the Ritz in Roseville, Michigan. The first one, as I mentioned, was in 1990, which was just about jam packed because it was billed as a Sweet reunion tour. And in '93, a couple years later, it was pretty sad. It was Andy Scott's Sweet,
yeah. And
and that show
Sweet
was lame.
had some good stuff. I mean, they really had some good stuff.
I know they did, and it's like and the show, the one I saw in '93 it was far different than what I saw in 1990. I mean, Mick Tucker was not with them. I mean, they didn't
Yep.
have that other singer from before. They didn't have that other bass player. This was a five-piece lineup, and some of the stuff, the original material they were singing was kind of like leaning towards the mainstream rock at that time. Like, and it didn't really suit me because I think Sweet was one of those hard-driven bands that were not mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah. And that they were definitely a hard rocking band,
They were,
except,
yeah.
well, obviously, I love It's Like Oxygen,
Yep.
but good
Hmm.
song.
Yeah. All right. So,
Next one I got, I got Chicago the Later Years. We
ah,
already covered the early years, mainly Terry Kath.
oh yeah.
This would be, a lot of them are going to be songs from
The
after he
80s, in the
passed.
80s there. Well,
Some
79.
of them was still in the 70s.
Yeah, all right. Well, because there was about a couple albums they did without Cat. There was Hot Streets, their only album without a number for a title, and there was another one where she had this one called Street Hustler, I think it was. That would later be.
I don't. I do have a couple of the albums with the numbers
Yeah,
because the last time, we had the list, and I was trying to hold it down because
yeah,
that's their good stuff.
yeah.
My number 10 is Italian from New York City, which I believe is on 9 or 10.
Uh,
And my number 9 song is Ain't It Blue.
uh,
Number 8 is Old Days. Number 7 is Baby What a Big Surprise.
oh yeah, I remember hearing that song a lot of times there.
Number 6 is If You Leave Me Now.
Tender, very emotional, tender ballad by them.
Yeah. Number 5, Another Rainy Day in New York City.
Uh huh.
Number 4, Take Me Back to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Mississippi Delta City Blues. Number 2 is I've Been Searching So Long.
Mm-hmm.
And my number 1 is Till the End of Time.
All right. Now
Which
this.
I believe that did have Terry Kath in it.
All right. Street Player. That's the one I was talking about. The song's called Street Player. It came from 1980. I think it was Chicago. Let's see, it was Chicago 15th. I think it was called.
Yeah, I think so. And actually, all the songs I named were in the late 70s.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing off of Street Player and whatever the other album you mentioned was.
All right. Yeah.
Although there were some good songs on there.
Yeah. It was.
I felt these 10 were top.
I stand corrected. It was Chicago 13th. It came out in 1979. It was recorded in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Hollywood, California, and New York City as well. And it's a song, and believe it or not, the big song from that record was the song Street Player, which was
Yeah.
often, I guess some of that was sampled for a techno house track. It was basically it was for Donnie Dacus' Must Have Been Crazy, I guess the name was the
Yeah.
track there. And of
Yeah,
course,
there was a song called Must Have Been Crazy.
mm-hmm,
And there was one called Alive Again.
mm-hmm. Let me
And No
correct it.
Tell Lover.
Oh, yeah. Actually, believe it or not, let's see here. No, my bad. My bad. I'm missing. Yeah. Now, no, I'm going to correct what I said. Some of the tracks, the song "Street Player" reached hit status years later in the '90s when it was sampled for the 1995 hit "The Bomb." These sounds fall into my mind by the Bucketheads, and the song "I Know You Want Me" by Pitbull, the Miami-based rapper, and for the 2013 remix by dance producer Trade Love. So that song I just mentioned has kind of like found itself a new reemergence because of those tracks there. So most definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Next one I got is Firefall.
Oh my goodness. Is that group still together, by the way?
I know I should be looking these up, but I don't think they are.
Well, I remember one of the original members has rights to the name. I guess he has it all new lineup. And there was a videotape support me some sort of little park festival or something like that.
Yeah.
And the song they were doing was "Someday Soon."
Yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, very tender song for them. In fact, I first heard of them back in 1979 when I first started listening to radio. The first song I remember them was "Strange Way" from 1978. There, and also keep
Yeah,
in
and
mind that
that's an older song by them, by the way.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I guess the guy who wrote and sang on it was Rick Roberts, I guess.
I think so. I think that's correct.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And by the way, for the record, Mark Adams, the bass player on that album there, he would later join Heart.
And did you say Mark Andes?
Mark Andes, yes, the blonde guy, the bass
He
player.
was with Spirit for a while.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that as well there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my number
Yeah, I
10 is a
guess the
song
guy
called
who
You
wrote
Are the
and sang
Woman.
on it was Rick
Oh, yeah.
Roberts, I guess. Nice song
Number
there.
9 is Living Ain't Living.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure you've heard of most of these.
I heard some of them, yeah. And there was a cassette tape with a couple of their albums that I had around 1987 there. I was listening to it during the winter time.
My number 8 is a song called Sold on You.
Wow.
And my number 7 is a song called So Long.
All right.
My number 6 is Goodbye, I Love You, which is kind of
All right.
strange.
All right.
And number 5, you mentioned a while ago, Strange Way.
Yes.
Number 4, It Doesn't Matter. Number 3, Just Remember I Love You, which I believe is one of their biggest hits.
Yeah, I remember. It came from the album Luna Sea back then. I guess it was in 76, 77, I think it was.
Yeah.
Ah.
My number 2 is an unusual song, but I thought it was a great play on words.
Mm.
It's called Even Steven.
Mm.
And my number 1 by this group is a song called Cinderella,
Ah.
which
Interesting.
is,
Of course, about the fairy tale.
no, not really, but
Oh.
it's an interesting tale.
Oh, okay. Kind of similar to that particular fairy tale, if I'm correct.
Uh,
There's so many versions of that.
Possibly, but
I mean,
but
yeah,
not
there's so many
really.
versions of that. It's kind of like so many versions of that particular tale, including Jack and the Beanstalk. All those little Red Riding Hood, as you all know, that
Yeah.
got done over and over, interpreted into other things, left and right. The Prince of the Pomper, we know that story there. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like awkward that all these all these fairy tales often get interpreted in music, movies, television, music videos, you name it.
Yeah, yeah. Next group I got is a little group called Ambrosia. And
Yeah,
if they're together, they don't have David Pack.
really. I
And
get,
David Pack went deaf.
why? Well, totally deaf now because I remember he had a virus prior to him writing and producing, performing "How Much I Feel."
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know the story, but this is a group that when they were out, I absolutely thought they were fantastic. They had it was a 4? It's
Uh-huh.
either 4 or 5 of the best albums I thought I ever heard, totally, all the way through. They were darn near Prague.
Mm-hmm.
They were very close to Prague. In fact, you could make a case for them being a Prague band.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking
Other
up
than
David
their
Pack.
hits.
I'm looking David Pack on the let's see here. He co-founded the band Ambrosia in the 1970s. Let me hear blah 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 blah. His collective works as a performer, producer have sold over 40 million units worldwide. Hits from him was Biggest Part of Me, You're the Only Woman, How Much I Feel, and plus Holding On to Yesterday. His first solo
Yep.
album from 2000, his solo album from 2005, The Secret of Moving On, included some remakes of You're the Only Woman and Biggest Part of Me. He guest on lead vocals on the song Ground Zero for Kenny Liv Green's solo album Seeds of Change. Now, Kenny Liv Green, as you know, is the lead guitarist for the band Kansas, who is a Christian, born again Christian. He
Yep.
also performed on Vinyl Confessions, the Kansas album from '82. He will also lead to the track. He also contributed to the song "Shine On" by the
Wow.
group Mastodon. There. Now, two of the Mastodon's albums were written and produced by former Kansas frontman John Elefant and his brother Dino. Now, during the 80s, he enjoyed his success as a solo artist with Anywhere You Go in 85. He had a song called I Just Can't Let Go, which was one of the hits from that album, which was a collaboration with James Ingram and Michael McDonald. In 80, he did a duet with Bette Miller called I Know You by Heart. He co-wrote songs for the same play guitar for the album Try Anything Once by Alan Parsons in 93. And he's a producer as well. And he served as also producer, music director for President Bill Clinton's inaugurations in 93 and 97. The White House asked him to direct the music and produce the President's Volunteer Summit in Philadelphia for other presidents, Clinton, Bush, Carter, and Ford. In 2000, he was asked to direct and produce Yamaha's Michael McDonald Lifeline Achievement Award show in the LA Shrine for his good buddy there. He brought in Ray Charles, Patti LaBelle, Kenny Loggins, Bob Skaggs, Christopher Cross, another guy we haven't heard on in a long while. No. And it's a Texas native as well, by the way. He also,
yeah, I believe he still lives in Austin.
Ah, nice. And he produced and directed the 2005 World AIDS Day concert at Saddleback Church in Orange County for author and pastor Rick Warren there.
Wow.
Okay, there. And let's see here. And I'm looking up for if he still is involved with Ambrosia there. And it says here, I guess, let's see, to get the band, I guess he decided, we wanted to get back on the tour, but it became too much of a conflict, which explains why he hasn't done anything with Ambrosia there.
Right.
And I guess, according to, it says here, no. I don't know if there, I knew about one of their members would later join Bruce Hornsby in the Range years later on, I guess.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And he's about, by the way, 68 years old. He lives in Huntington Park, California.
Okay, my number 10 is The Biggest Part of Me.
Yeah, great song from 1980 there.
My number 9 is How Much I Feel.
Probably one of the most emotional songs he ever wrote,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it even talks about, hey, if it makes you feel better, this is how much I love you. If you don't love me, I'm gone.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Something like that. That's pretty much how it went.
One thing I can never understand is why the song faded out so quickly, like it is. You could at least let it drag out a few more seconds before it faded it out, because right when it starts with the chorus there, that's when the song fades out. I don't know why it ever did that.
Yeah, that could be a single version too.
Now, so I tried to find the original album version, but I don't know if it's still out there or whichever, but I just couldn't even find it. I sure as hell can't find it on YouTube. That's for sure.
I believe that's on the Life Beyond LA album.
Yeah, it is, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, I should probably look for that one of these days there.
My number 8 is off of what I consider their best album.
Mm-hmm.
The first album,
Ah.
Holding On to Yesterday.
Ah.
Number 7 is a song called Somewhere I've Never Traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6 is a song called Drink of Water.
Off
that first album.
Mm.
Number 5 is Ready. And number 4 is one of those combo songs. It's two songs that are essentially one.
I see there.
Art Beware, Apothecary. My number 3 is Life Beyond LA.
Uh-huh. The title cut for that album.
Yeah. My number 2 might surprise you. It's off the first album.
All right.
It's a song called Nice, Nice, Very Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Great song. I mean, it's just a great song. And my number 1 is a song off that same album called Time Waits for No One.
Ah. Is that a cover tune? It was the original?
No, it's theirs.
Okay, because I
It's,
know the
it's
Rolling Stones has a song of the same title there.
right, but this is a totally different song, and it's got some great lyrics in it. It's just well done.
Uh,
It's definitely worth a listen.
all right.
That song alone is just
You know what?
it is can
You know what? Now that you mention it, I'm looking up on the Life Beyond L.A. album, and surprisingly, so far, how much you feel is not included on that album. I thought it was originally, so it
I
must have been
thought
a,
it was too.
you know, I should probably look up the track there, find out if it was you know, Ambrosia, Rock Band, blah blah blah, and Life Beyond L.A. the album. There we go. Let's see if it was ever on that track there. Let's see. It was the third album. Their first for Warner Brothers Records, which they would remain in until their and among the three singles was, let's see here. How much I feel is the last track, and it's about the length of that track is 4:45 minutes. So I'm thinking possibly maybe the same version as I mentioned, where it just fades out too quickly. I guess
Yeah,
have to do some research when we get done here.
but if I was going to pick an album to start with and listen to, it would be that first one.
All right.
That first album is phenomenal.
Yeah, because according to here, that album we just mentioned is a departure from the prog rock roots in favor of more commercial jazz and soft rock sound.
Yeah, they kind of went more into
Mainstream.
mainstream, but it was still well done mainstream. It wasn't.
Meaningful mainstream, I should say there.
Yeah, yeah.
Very meaningful, I should definitely.
And my next group that I got here is another group that was famous for the way they named albums.
Hmm.
Their first 10 or so
Yeah.
all started with the letter H.
Ah.
Their
Wow.
first album didn't really have a name, but everybody knew it as A Horse with No Name,
Oh,
H.
America.
And then you got History, Homecoming.
Yep.
Uh, you just run through about their first 10 albums, and they all start with H.
No.
Why? I don't know.
I know. But they kind of
But
stopped that when it was cut to a duel in the 80s there, because they released a couple albums without the H in their titles there. A View from the
yeah,
Ground, The Border. I think it was something like Your Move from I guess in '85. I guess it was.
right.
Yeah, and we're talking the band America.
Yep.
Yeah,
And they were definitely kings of the good soft rock. I like to
the
call
acoustic soft rock there. Horse, the
it. Yep.
song we mentioned, I Need You, Tin Man. When I first started playing guitar, one of the songbooks I was given to learn was songs of the band America, and it's like this had all these songs like "Don't Cross the River."
Yeah, and they're not incredibly hard to play,
No,
but they're not
it's not
what's the
hard to
word?
play, but it's not easy either.
Right.
Yeah,
My number 10 by them is Ventura Highway.
yeah. Which Jesse Ventura, the pro wrestler and politician, got his last name from.
Yeah. Number 9 is a song called Three Roses off the first album.
Uh huh.
My number 8 is I Need You.
Good tender ballad there from their first album.
Number 7 is Tin Man.
Oh yeah, Oz good. Oz never gave anything to the Tin Man that he didn't already have.
Yeah. Number 6, Daisy Jane.
Mm.
And my number 5 is Woman Tonight, which is, if I remember right, it's one of the first songs I ever heard that the break was a bass solo.
Ah,
Number 4 is Sister Golden Hair.
good song there from those guys.
And number 3 is Slow Down. Number 2 is Lonely People. This is a song for all lonely people.
Remember that song? Yes, definitely.
And my number 1 by this group It's going to be a little unusual, but it's a
Uh-huh.
good one.
Hmm.
Sandman.
Oh, yeah.
There's something about that song I really liked.
Good one there. Interesting.
And there are other good songs. That isn't the only 10 they did that were good. That's just the 10 I like. And I'm going to take quite a little leap in the next group.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to leave the country and go to Canada and go
All
with
right.
April Wine.
Oh, my goodness. Miles Goodwin and the boys there.
Yeah.
Because they came out with some great. The first time I heard them was in '79. It was the track "Roller" from the album First Glance,
Yeah. Good song.
which I borrowed from one of our neighbors there. And he had another song on that album which pretty much says it all.
Say
Rock
hello.
and roll is a vicious game,
Yeah.
which is way true.
Okay. My number 10 is an interesting song, you might say. It's something called If You See K.
Mm.
Now, think about what
Ah,
that's saying.
all right there. I think it's. You got me on that one there, I guess.
Well, what is, if you say it fast, what are you saying? If you see
I, s-
K.
Fuck.
Exactly.
I see. I
It's
see
if
there. Yes,
you
get there.
see K. But if you say it fast, it's Fuck. He's spelling it out for us.
Nice.
But
Good
it's a
idea.
good song.
And that's Miles Goodwin who wrote that?
I believe so.
Because he wrote a lot of the material there on that album there. Actually, on all their albums, basically, there.
Yeah. My number 9 is their cover of a King Crimson song, 21st Century
21st, I remember
Schizo. Yeah.
hearing that, yeah, from the album Harder and Faster from '81. Holy cow, dude.
They did a good version, I
Yeah,
thought.
it is. I remember hearing it on a radio special one
And
time. I was
that
like,
is
wow.
not an easy song.
Fuck no, especially with the piece mirrors in the middle there. You gotta learn, you gotta practice like hell because King
And
Crimson,
they used
especially
some
Robert Fripp.
unusual chords.
Oh yeah, a lot of unusual chords. Hell, Robert Fripp still he has a standard tuning set up, for his when he plays there. And I tried to do it one time, but it's like nope, can't do it. He's a lot better
Yeah.
at that, for that matter.
Yeah. My number 8 is Wanna Rock.
Great, all badass song. Harder and Faster, great album.
Yeah. My number 7 is I Like to Rock.
Hmm.
Number 6 is Enough is Enough.
Good song. I remember the video for that. They're doing their song from inside of a big truck there, a delivery truck.
Number 5 is Just Between You and Me.
From the nature of the beast, their 90, no, their I guess it was their 82 or 81 album there.
Yeah, we're drifting a little bit into the 80s here, but that's
Nice,
okay.
yeah.
Number 4 is All Over Town.
Mm.
And my number 3 song is actually the first one I heard by him, which kind of hooked me on him. Say Hello,
Ah,
which is off, I believe, the same album as Roller, which is number 2.
First Glance, great badass gem.
And my number 1 is Sign of the Gypsy Queen.
Classic, Canadian classic right there. That song was originally recorded and written by a guy named Lawrence Hudd, who was back in 1973, I remember. It was
Yeah.
he was the first guy to be signed to A&M Records Canada, and Miles Goodwin got a hold of him years later on to ask that they could not only redo their version, but also add a third verse to the track there, in which Hardy says, "Go right ahead, dudes." And that song would later become a staple on the not only Canadian rock stations, but also on classic rock stations as well.
Great song.
It is, it is a great song, absolutely.
Yep. My next band
I'm
is
go-
an unusual. Oh,
Wait
go
a
ahead.
minute, hold on a second there. There may be other versions of that song there. I gotta look it up here. It was originally recorded, as I mentioned, Lawrence Hudd. April Wine did their version there, and it also gained a brief resurgence in popularity. It was featured on an episode of the show Breaking Bad in 2013.
Mm.
It was on an episode titled Grand Night State, and it received a critical acclaim and also became one of the popular episodes in the history of that program there. And of course, the April Wine version became more popular on album-oriented rock radio stations, getting lots of airplay here in the States and the Great Light North. And the music video aired on the MTV's first broadcast there, believe it or not. It was one of their signature songs at a live concert staple. And it has also been recorded by other artists.
Right. Okay, my next group is sort of an unusual group. I don't know if they were serious or what. Uh, well, 10cc.
Ah.
They had some great songs.
And a couple of unique members, as we mentioned. Low
Yeah.
Cream and Kevin Godley were members of that group, and they would later go on to become unique directors of various music videos and throughout the
Yes.
early 80s there, including
Right.
their own called the song Cry
Yeah.
from 1986, if I remember there.
Yep. But they had some good music, and they had some unusual music,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, for instance, Wall Street Shuffle.
Mm.
Number 9 is a song called Sand in My Face.
Ah.
Number 8, Johnny Don't Do It.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, Things We Do for Love.
Oh, yeah, which was one of their big hits, been played on the soft rock stuff back in around the earlier years.
And then number 6, for B, is another song that got played a lot, I'm Not in Love.
Oh yeah, one of their most signature songs out there. What do you think that song is about? I believe it's about a guy who's convincing.
Well, he's in love, but he's trying to convince the girl that he's not.
Ah, I see there.
That's the way I read it, but I could be wrong.
Maybe you have to see there.
The good version of that one's the long version, by the way. Number 5 is Dreadlock Holiday, which is another
Yeah.
interesting song. Number 4 is a song. You got to hear this song someday. It's called "Worst Band in the World."
Ah.
But it's definitely worth a listen.
Mm.
Number 3 is "Rubber Bullets,"
Ah.
which is another great song.
Yeah.
Number 2, and your email is also going to include this song, is something called "Life is a Minestrone,"
Ah. I see there.
served up with Parmesan cheese.
Ah.
And number 1, "Art for Art's Sake,"
Mm-hmm.
which you're also going to get that in email.
Okay, definitely, for sure. I'm looking up the story behind the track there. It was originally conceived as a bossa nova song played on guitars, but the other two members, Godley and Cream, of course, disliked it and it was abandoned. After hearing members of their staff continue to sing the melody around the studio, when the guy who wrote it, I guess his name was blah, 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 blah. What's his name? Eric Stewart and Graham Goodlin, the guys who wrote
Yeah.
it. They decided, let's do it. Let's record it. And they replied that for the song that we work had to be radically changed. They should try
Right.
a new version with just voices and a keyboard and stuff there. I think it was just voices, which is unique because I always thought it was a synthesizer, or something like that originally, but they decided, fuck it, So that's kind of like a breakthrough right there.
Yeah.
And I guess as you mentioned, the song is what they call a riposte to his wife's declaration that he did not tell her often that he loved her. And get this, the song, believe it or not, was had over 3 million plays on US radio since its release. It won 3 Ivor Novello Awards in 1976 for Best Pop Song, International Hit of the Year, and Best Performed British Work. It has appeared in movies like The Virgin Suicides, Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason, Indecent Proposal, Cherish, Whatever, Hunky Dory, The Stud, Bruce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, He's Just Not Into You, and Guardians of the Galaxy. It also appeared in the video game Grand Theft Auto, Vice City Stories, and on TV shows like Goodnight Sweetheart, That 70s Show, The Office, Veronica Mars, Big Love, Medium, The Syndicate, Bull, EastEnders, Scam, and a cover version by Kelsey Lou was featured in the TV series Euphoria. Interesting there.
Yeah.
And that little female voice in the middle of the track said "Big Boys Don't Cry" was done by a lady named Kathy Redfern.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. There you go. It's interesting what a song that you could do back in the 70s would carry on in such how many movies and TV shows, believe it or not.
Yeah. That is kind of weird.
It is, but it's also good because it keeps earning you royalty money.
Yeah. Okay, I guess we got time enough to do a couple more.
All right.
We're going to jump clear to Aerosmith, so we're going to get into the 80s a little bit here.
All right, there.
Number 10 song I got is Jamie's Got a Gun.
Oh, yeah. One of the most anti-child abuse songs ever there.
Number 9 is Ragdoll.
Yeah. From 87 there.
Number 8 is Living on the Edge.
Yep. From 93. Which is it's basically kind of like what everybody was doing for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
In terms of the riots, the protesting, the radical speaking on this politician or that political party here or there. People being like, if you're friends with this person, remove yourself from my friends list, blah, 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 and all that jazz.
Yeah. Number 7 is Last Child, which is an early song.
Yeah. Group called Oriental Spas from Novi, Michigan did an excellent cover of that song during their shows. I should also say, miss those guys. They were the bomb.
Number 6, Same Old Song and Dance.
Which, by the way, I guess is about a drug bust.
Yeah.
It's about a guy who gets busted and tries to come up with ever pitiful excuse they could come up with. Like you see him on you remember watching the show Cops a lot of times with all the pity ass excuses that the people they pull over, give them. That's the song right there. That's the description of the song right there.
Yeah. Number 5 is Kings and Queens.
Let me guess. Toys from the Attic. That track is from?
No, the album that followed it.
Oh, okay.
What the heck was it? Draw the Line.
Okay.
Number 4 is Dream On.
Oh yeah, one of the most constant played tracks on the radio today.
Number 3, Back in the Saddle.
Yep, badass tune there. One of my buddies, Robert from Roseville, when he was a big fan of that song, right when the lyrics, when Steven Tyler starts singing the first lines, you can hear a horse crying in the background, ready to roll there. He was like, wow, when they pointed that out.
Number 2 is Draw the Line.
Good song from them.
And my number 1 probably will always be my number 1, Sweet Emotion.
Oh, man. Badass tune. Badass tune there. Talkbox, I guess Joe Perry does on that track there. The vibe of that track.
And, well, we got time for one more, I guess.
Okay.
Alice Cooper.
Oh, my God.
Vincent Furnier.
Yeah, from Detroit, Michigan, baby.
And I held it down to 15, and that was tough.
Oh, wow. Because he came out with some damn good stuff there, you know.
And I pretty much held it to earlier stuff.
All right.
My number 15 is Billion Dollar Babies.
Oh, yeah. Which was a slap in the face to all these kids with privileges, I guess.
Yeah.
Born
Num-
onto privilege and riches and everything there.
My number 14 was Welcome to My Nightmare.
Oh, yeah. One of the TV series of this and the album of the same name.
Yeah. My 13, Elected.
Oh, yeah. From Billy Dollar Babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bet you a lot of times classic rock stations still play that every time election year comes around, you know? And who could not forget the Alice Cooper for President campaign that kind of went along during that period when that album came out?
Yeah. And my number 12 is, after we get done, this is a theme I'd like to talk about a little bit.
Yeah.
Sick Things.
Oh, my goodness. And the
I
Sick
do like
Things
that
was
song.
yeah, it's a real gruesome song when I first heard it, but not really that gruesome. But you kind of like get but I kind of get where the coop is getting from there.
Yeah. My number 11 is Unfinished Sweet,
Oh yeah, which by the way is an
a Tooth
interesting.
Decay song.
Oh my gosh! Yes. Oh my gosh! Good use of a mellotron on that track there, by the way.
Yeah. My number 10 is Halo of Flies.
Mm, interesting.
And my number 9 is Under My Wheels.
Detroit song there, based on Detroit.
Yeah. Number 8 is Alma Mater, which is on the Schools Out album.
Ah,
Number 7 is Blue Turk,
good song
same
there.
album.
Sign You got to give up to it. He had came out with some interesting albums just as well.
Yeah.
Album covers just
Isn't Schools Out the one that had the panties as part of the...
yes, that was it.
I
That was
thought
it.
so.
Yeah, yeah, and the whole album cover, like, and also Billion Dollar Babies, the original pressings of that album was made out as a wallet.
Yeah.
Now
Number...
you got to give it up to the guys who designed album covers around that time. They came up with some really damn creative stuff there. Besides with the two I mentioned, the original Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, with the zipper.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
My number 6 is Black Juju. My number 5 is Desperado.
Yep.
Number 4 is Go to Hell. No, that is my number 4. That song is another one that's kind of exploring territory, you might say.
Yeah, I guess they're a little tell off to whoever's guilty of doing something there. You are going to hell for what you did there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a song about people, what they say to him, like, for criminal acts and violence on the stage.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, because there was a lot of accusations thrown at him. You know, he left and right because he was one of the main targets. You know, these Christian evangelist people out there who's saying he's corrupting the people's youth. He's corrupting the kids of today. There,
And ironically, he's a Christian.
yeah, exactly. He became born again back in the '80s after he kicked drugs and alcohol there.
Yeah.
And that was way before he came back to the scene in '86.
My number 3, to me, would be a great opening cover song, if anybody would do it. Hello, Hooray.
Oh man, badass tune.
Let the show begin.
Oh yeah, I loved that towards the end in there where there was those explosion coming in during what he's saying. I feel so strong. I feel,
Yeah.
and you hear these explosions in the background there.
Yeah. My number 2 is Killer.
Title track from that album, the same name.
Yeah. And my number 1 song may surprise you, may not. Ballad of Dwight Fry.
No surprise. No
That
surprise.
song to me is just absolutely something.
It is. It's like it's kind of scareful to be able to put yourself in that position there, where the
Yeah.
Dwight Fry character is in.
Yeah, and that song goes kind of along with talking about songs that he did that people were going like, "What?"
Yeah.
There's "I Love the Dead."
Oh yeah, we know the story behind that one there, believe it or not. It's kind of gruesome, but in that arrangement there is a little bit of Broadway la da 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 in that track there.
Yeah,
Yep. And somebody
and
said,
then
no, go ahead.
you can also mention "Dead Babies."
Oh yeah. What is the story behind that song? Was it about sudden infant death syndrome? I remember it was told about.
Well, that could be the reason. I don't know, but that was a song that dead babies can't
Yeah.
take things off the shelves. Dead babies can take care of themselves,
Mm.
things like that. Kind of a. And then of course there's Cold Ethel.
Oh yeah, we know the story behind that one there. If you don't, look it up, folks. We'll just
Well,
leave
let's
it at
just put it
that.
this way.
Yeah.
One line in that song is, "Ethel, she's good in bed. Ought to be. Ethel's dead."
Oh
So
God. So you know what? Somebody said it best. You could always leave it to the coop to tap into that one particular subject that nobody at that time wanted to discuss.
yeah,
Whether it was going to
he
the
went right
dentist,
into it.
whether it's necrophilia or the fear of going to the dentist or the doctor, you could always rely on Mr. Further to tap into that particular subject to really get you like, oh my gosh.
Oh, what in the world?
Yeah,
But Alice is a fun listen.
yeah, he is. And he's still around. I guess, yeah, he still tours occasionally a lot of times there. He still does shows there at festivals. And I think he's going to be coming to Texas pretty soon, if he hasn't already there. I don't know what's, probably soon, I guess. I would like to definitely go check him out. I remember seeing him at the Royal Oak Music
Yeah,
Theater in.
I don't think he's going to go with the kind of shows he used to do.
Hmm.
Because I mean,
Well, he does.
he did stuff.
Yeah, well, basically it's more tame now because people had grown up and now used to that kind of stuff. So, but I would also probably go to check out his lead guitarist, Nita Strauss. She
Yeah,
is a badass babe, by the way, and a badass guitar player just as well.
cool.
All right, definitely.
Well, do you want to move on to a couple more, or do you want to go ahead
Um,
and?
I'm going to get YR and the boys on here because, as I mentioned there, um, get the boys up there.
Okay,
See
pick
here.
up the last little bunch of stuff I have, which there's a few more, and then we get to the prog.
Hmm.
And when we get to the prog, we'll definitely start with the big. I think there's 6.
All right, there.
ELP, yes, King Crimson,
Oh yeah,
Ch-
got to get the
Kansas,
King Crimson. That's for sure, man. One of my favorites.
Kansas,
All
and
right.
there's somebody else, but I can't think of who it is off the top of my head. That's part of the what's called the Big 6, which I guess were the initial ones. God, I can't think of that 6th one. Oh well, doesn't matter. I'll probably figure it out by then.
All right, there.
And I guess we go to the next bunch.
No, wait a minute. We're gonna.
We'll cut the music and go with those guys.
Okay, I'm gonna. Let's see if I can get.
The substance, the appearance,
There he is.
and that's the one thing that he gets me on. But look how,
Is in it.
Dudes, guys.
Oh.
but
What's it?
yeah, and it's funny though. That
Yay!
it's rich for Jesse to talk about appearances and all, So
It's true. Guys,
great,
guys, shaped
great
like the
sleuthing
prince.
there, Captain Jack Sparrow. Bring more clips.
Dr. Brown, what do you think about all this?
Well, I was listening a little bit earlier on before I came home and went live with Arknolia, which I'm getting back on the call here. And
You had to go live over YR, didn't you? No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
yeah.
We had
you did.
we were
You
gonna
did.
collab in. We
Yeah, I
were
was
gonna
gonna
collab
get.
before, we just had so much drama.
All right, yeah, I figure, I let up Arknolia that I was going to add you cats into the program here, and I'm still calling him right now. Let's see, it's taking its time as always. ways. Pay the
Jews
Skypes.
have to admit, we have a thing for the bad girls.
Oh my gosh. Well, we do.
You know,
We do.
Doctor,
We do.
Doctor,
Yeah.
What do you feel about when you hear these clips with Joe and the shit that's being said? Like, what is your reaction to that?
Well, here's the thing, I think here's what it looks like to me, when you hear stuff like Joe, saying all this crazy shit, it's like, what the fuck,
You can't understand what.
I just makes no difference Joe that we usually hear and stuff. That's not the Joe that we usually know by heart and stuff,
Joe I knew. I mean, Joe was a totally different person when I first started working with him, to be
That's
honest.
true, yeah.
He really was. You know?
smoochy, smooch, you know.
Oh my God. And I know you're playing clips of me from my vlogs there.
Mr. Earl.
What's up,
Fucking
Tony?
Someone that can really fucking shred on a guitar.
Dr. Earl is
Oh,
beloved.
man.
There you are, Arknolia. Arknolia, glad you're here, dude.
Beloved.
Ark,
Earl, you know that. Dr. Earl, do you realize that
What?
you are beloved in this community?
Ah, nice. Glad to hear that.
You're loved, bro. You are definitely loved in this community.
Dude, this is Garguts shredding, Dr. Earl.
One time, Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh my god.
What in the flight fuck is that?
One time, Chuck E. Cheese.
Stop, please. Stop.
Yeah, please. That's enough, dude. Okay.
One time,
Get your Tony under control there.
What the fuck?
Oh, he's like Beavis and Butthead.
All right. Arknolia, say hello to Foulmouth Ken, YR, and of course Keith, and of course a man I mentioned earlier, Tony from Reverh.
Hi to all of you. I don't remember the names. I do.
You guys have infiltrated our program. It's the WCW WWF invasion.
But I don't like the drama on my channel.
No. Dr. Brown loves the drama.
Drama is good for your health.
It's good for our health. Well,
Big drama got to me. They paid me off.
let me play this clip entirety, in the Biden clip, to make sure we're not missing anything else, because you might want to pick it apart. Maybe we said everything that we needed to.
Donations are open, guys.
I don't know Trump sucker at all. I don't really, whatever. But he did keep a lot of them. He had a couple that he failed on, but he really kept a lot of them. You know who isn't keeping them at all? He did that he bullshit them, but he didn't do them anywhere near. But I mean, they're like, come to the country. Wait, don't come to the country. I'm going to do this for healthcare. Now I'm not going to do it for health. It's like, dude, that guy lied so much it's insane. It's not even close, in my opinion, as an independent, right? I don't like either side. So as the middleman, I will tell you, I believe that this fucking Biden is behind. But either way, politicians are liars. That's the news flash that you're saying.
That's
Politicians
true.
lie.
Very
of course
true.
they. Like, I mean,
Very true. Very
know
true.
that. Trump
You remember
kept us-
Bush, for instance,
donation.
Kid Apollos, guys? You remember when Bush 41 promised that there would be no new taxes when he was running for election in '88?
Look, to be honest, Dr. Earl, we're not here to just reiterate that water is wet. Everyone
Yeah.
knows politicians are corrupt.
Absolutely.
The thing is, though, for Joe to actually try to say, like, to even mention that is just like, I think it's superfluous for one, and
Politician.
Well, why does he do that, Dave? Why does he do? Well, yeah, they're all liars, but me, I'm an independent. I don't. But them,
it's the savior complex. I think it's the savior complex, and as a fence sitter, you have the ability to be like, I represent everything, because I don't represent one thing specific, so therefore I represent everything, and I guess it gives him the ability to say, come to me, flock to me, my people. I am a cult leader. I am a god after all. He calls him.
Dude, Joe used to tell me, like, when we would bullshit with each other, like, late at night, and it varies from night to night, and how they are and who they are, and the things that you said on a Thursday night, you might not be able to get away with on a Friday night. And those were his words, man. Teaching, like, honing in on, like, telling people how to live stream and how to interact with people, and he would call them, what's that word again that people use when they're in the Marines or something?
Recruits.
An inferior or subordinate.
Ah,
No, well,
never heard of that.
Civilian.
Yeah, he said to me, this whole civilian thing that I've mentioned before, where he was like, oh, there's a big difference between a civilian and what we do, and I always thought that was like,
Oh God.
What?
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 Yeah, you told me
That's a
that
new one.
before.
Tony mentioned
Told
the
me that
civilian
before.
thing, and you.
No, Ken's mentioned it to me. We've talked about that a long time ago. YR, so you're wrong.
Weird. It was very weird for him to say that. Like,
So basically, Joe says, flock to me because I support everything but stand for nothing.
Exactly.
Which makes no
Couldn't have said
sense.
it better. Couldn't have said it better.
yeah.
Okay, it's good to know.
It sounds like an attempt to get more viewers and subscribers in a way.
Yeah.
He's the
No,
slithery
it's more than
salesman
that.
he
He's a
says
savior. He's
Do
a
that.
savior.
Yourself out. You could do that with being who you really are. You could do that without placating people. You know what I mean?
Ken, he's got the white savior complex, and it's not just white savior. It's just like I'm your savior.
You are right. You are right about that, because he definitely does think like I'm the answer to everything. I mean, make me president and you'll be fine. Put me in charge of WWE and let me wrestle.
He's still trying to get a job announcing WWE.
He thinks he's, you all right. He really does have like a
That's-
God complex, bro.
That's
It's like,
all a ruse, though. That we know that's all a ruse. You know what I mean?
Like, but you know what's weird about it? That's somebody that is. That's weird.
At the end of the day, we know that the stoop kid never leaves us, and Cronin is the stoop kid,
Wow.
and it's a fact.
Tony, that was a little low blow. Come on, man.
Ooh.
What? What are you talking about?
Disrespectful.
So, Art, do you have any questions for the guys, especially for Tony Revere? Because, I think we did a little small jam. I think it was on YR's
Did we?
program one time. It was
Yeah.
not
Oh yeah,
necessary.
you guys did.
Yeah.
Yes, you guys have.
Like
And
many Judas Priest tunes.
YR says he's fond of jumping in on the music.